I paid for her car, her college, and her credit cards. The only thing she paid for was a hotel room I never slept in. When I finally showed up there, room 314, she opened the door and laughed. Guess you figured it out. I walked away. Quietly. But 2 weeks later, her face was on the news. My name's Erin. I'm 43 now. This all happened 5 years ago, but I still remember it like it was yesterday. It started with a free oil change, and it ended with me watching the news in total shock, realizing I never really knew the woman I let into my house, my wallet, and my life. Back then, I owned a small diesel repair shop in Lafayette, Indiana. Nothing fancy. I'd been running it for over a decade. Paid off all my debts. Owned my house. Life was quiet. Predictable. I didn't mind being alone, not really. I'd been through one short marriage in my late 20s that ended with her running off with her boss. After that, I kept to myself. Then Mallory walked into my shop. She had this beat-up Hyundai that looked and sounded like it hadn't had a decent service in years. The car rattled when she pulled in. She stepped out wearing ripped jeans, big sunglasses, and a tank top that didn't leave much to the imagination. She had long, dark hair pulled up in a messy bun and a sleeve tattoo on her left arm. She smiled like she already knew she had me. She told me she just moved from Knoxville, Tennessee. Said she came up to Indiana to help her sister, who just had a baby. Said she was broke, between jobs, and trying to get back on her feet. She couldn't afford the oil change, so I said, "Don't worry about it. It's on the house." She smiled wide and called me a gentleman. That was the beginning. A week later, she showed up again. Just walked in with 2 coffees from Dunkin'. Said she felt bad about not paying me and wanted to thank me. We sat in the back of the shop and talked for over an hour. She was charming. Funny. Said she used to work at a bar down south. Told me about growing up poor. Said she never had much, but she always wanted to do better. She talked fast, laughed loud, and looked at me like I was somebody worth something. Over the next few weeks, she kept coming around. At first, I thought she was just friendly. Then she started flirting. One night, she showed up around closing time with a 6-pack. We sat on the hood of her car and drank in the parking lot. I told her about my failed marriage. She said she didn't believe in fairy tales either, but that maybe some people still deserved good things. That night, she kissed me. By the end of the month, she was staying over a couple nights a week. A month after that, she moved in. She didn't have a lot of stuff. Just a few boxes, clothes, some makeup, and her old dog-eared notebooks from community college. Said she wanted to go back to school. Said she dropped out to take care of her mom who passed away the year before. I believed her. She talked about wanting to study psychology. Said she wanted to help women like her, the ones nobody gives a damn about. I told her I'd help however I could. I paid for her to enroll at Purdue's local extension. Bought her books. Paid the fees. Even got her a new laptop when her old one crapped out. Then winter came, and her car wouldn't start half the time. I told her it was time to get something better. I found a used Civic at a lot a few blocks from the shop. It was clean, good tires, low mileage for the year. I paid cash. She cried when I gave her the keys. Hugged me so tight, I couldn't breathe. "You're the first person who ever believed in me," she said. It felt good to hear that. I didn't feel used. Not yet. She didn't make much at her part-time job at the vape store. Maybe $120 a week. Said she wanted to focus on school, so I picked up the slack. Covered her gas, her phone bill, even groceries. She said she'd pay me back once she graduated and got a real job. I never asked for anything back. But then she said she needed a credit card to build her score. I co-signed for one through my bank. I made the payments. Every single month. She started dressing nicer. Getting her nails done. She said she was just trying to feel human again. I nodded. I didn't argue. I didn't notice the signs at first. She started coming home later. Blamed group projects and night classes. She'd shower before bed, even though she always used to do that in the morning. She kept her phone on silent. Turned it face down. One night, while she was in the bathroom, her phone buzzed. I didn't mean to snoop. I really didn't. But something in me said, "Look." So I looked. The text read, "Same time next week? Room 314. I'll bring the bourbon. You bring that smile." I felt sick. My first instinct was to convince myself I was overreacting. Maybe it was a friend. Maybe it was nothing. I let it go for a day. Then 2. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. That Friday, she said she had a group study thing. Would be home late. I told her, no problem. Be safe. As soon as she left, I followed her. She drove to the Marriott near downtown. Parked. Walked in like she'd been there before. Red dress. High heels. That overnight bag I didn't recognize. I parked across the street and waited. 2 hours passed. Then 4. Just before midnight, I got out and went in. I rode the elevator to the 3rd floor. My heart was beating so hard I could barely breathe. I stood outside room 314 and knocked. The door opened almost right away. Mallory stood there. Her lipstick was smudged. She was barefoot. She looked surprised for maybe half a second. Then she smiled. "Guess you figured it out." She said it like it was a damn joke. She stepped aside, like she expected me to walk in. I didn't say anything. I didn't move. I just looked at her for a long second, then turned around and walked away. She didn't chase me. Didn't apologize. She just laughed. Quiet and smug. That laugh still rings in my ears. I went home. I packed up every single thing she owned. Left it all on the porch. Changed the locks. Blocked her number. Deleted every photo. I didn't say a word to her. Not a text. Not a note. Nothing. I thought that was the end of it. But then, 2 weeks later, her face was on the news. I was sitting in the break room at the shop, eating leftover chili from the night before, when I saw her on the little wall-mounted TV we kept above the tool chest. Channel 18. Local news. Her face popped up on the screen like some kind of nightmare. Local Purdue student and 2 others arrested in identity theft scheme totaling over $85,000, the anchor said. I nearly dropped my spoon. There she was, Mallory, getting led out of a police car in cuffs, wearing a gray hoodie and leggings. Her hair was messy. She didn't look like the girl who used to lay on my couch and watch old horror movies with me. She looked tired. Mean. Hardened. I turned up the volume. The anchor kept talking. Apparently, she wasn't just cheating on me. She was working with 2 guys. One of them was the manager at the vape shop she barely worked at. The other was her supposed cousin, a name I'd seen pop up on her phone more than once. I thought it was innocent. It wasn't. They'd been running a credit card scam, opening lines of credit using stolen IDs, ordering merchandise online, then flipping it for cash. Clothing, laptops, tools, even a couple generators. They used the hotel to meet up and split profits, and yeah, sometimes they used it for other things too. Room 314. I stared at the TV, cold creeping into my chest. My name wasn't mentioned, but suddenly everything made sense. The credit cards, the strange packages I signed for that she claimed were school stuff, the late-night drives. The money I gave her wasn't just going to tuition, it was fueling her scam, and probably covering her part when they needed to clean money to pay off the cards before closing them. And that Civic? The one I bought her? It was listed under my name, registered to my shop's address, tied up in the mess. I felt like a damn idiot. 2 days later, I got a call from a detective with the Tippecanoe County Sheriff's Department. Said my name and shop had come up during the investigation. Wanted to ask some routine questions. I met them that Friday. I sat in a small room at the station, across from 2 detectives. One younger, one older. The older one, Detective Rayford, did most of the talking. He laid out the basics. Asked about the Civic. Asked if I knew the other suspects. I didn't. I told them everything I knew about Mallory. I told them I'd been paying her bills, tuition, rent, phone, everything. When I mentioned that I co-signed a credit card, both detectives leaned forward. Do you still have access to that account? Rayford asked. I logged into the banking app right there. The card had over $12,000 on it. All maxed. I hadn't looked since I kicked her out. I felt sick again. They took notes. Asked if I'd be willing to give a written statement. I said yes. I just wanted this to be over. But it wasn't. 2 weeks later, I got served. One of the companies she scammed was trying to sue me, claiming I benefited from the fraud because the credit card was in my name. The cops were still untangling the whole operation, and until things were clearer, I was on the hook. I called a lawyer, a guy named Brent that I'd done some mechanical work for over the years. He took my case at a discount, but it was still going to cost me. We met at his office, and he looked over the credit card statements, the civic registration, even her enrollment forms from Purdue. "This girl really wrapped you up tight," he said. "But we'll fight it." Then he said something that stopped me cold. "There's a good chance she used your info too. Ever give her your social?" I didn't think so, but I wasn't sure. He ran a check. Turns out, there were 2 other credit lines opened in my name that I never approved. Small ones. Store cards. One at Best Buy. One at a furniture place in town. I sat there in the chair, staring at the floor, feeling rage crawl up the back of my neck. I wanted to scream. I wanted to hit something. She'd used me. Completely. I hadn't just been cheated on. I'd been targeted. I was her long game. She picked me because I was stable. Because I had credit. Because I was kind. She saw a sucker and made me feel like I was loved. That night, I drove past the jail. Just once. I didn't stop. I didn't try to talk to her. I just needed to see it. The building. The place where she was sleeping now. Where the woman who laughed in my face was locked up. I went home. Sat in my truck for 20 minutes. Then I got an idea. One that didn't come from anger. It came from something colder. I wasn't going to just walk away. No, this time I was going to hit back. The next morning, I called Detective Rayford. I asked him something that had been chewing at me since I saw Mallory's face on the news. "Did you ever recover a laptop?" I said. "Silver MacBook. I bought it for her. Had a little dent in the top corner." He paused, then said, "Why?" "Because I think she used it to access my accounts." He told me they'd seized several devices during the arrest, but hadn't gone through all of them yet. I gave him the serial number off my receipt, just in case. He said he'd flag it. A week later, he called me back. They found the laptop, along with a lot of emails and messages. The tech guys were combing through them. And yeah, it looked like she'd logged into my online banking, my Amazon, even used saved passwords from my browser to get into some of my vendor accounts from the shop. She kept detailed notes, Rayford said. Names, dates, what you paid for. We're adding it all to the charges. Then he added something else. You're not going to want to hear this, but she had notes on 2 other guys too. Same pattern. One in Kokomo. One in Champaign, Illinois. They both gave her money. One of them gave her access to his car title. I didn't say anything at first. I couldn't. That meant I wasn't special. Not even a little. I was a mark. A project she worked like a job. Rayford said he could put me in contact with the other victims if I wanted to join the case as a cooperating witness. I said yes. I met the guy from Kokomo the next week. His name was Dale. Mid-50s, wore a John Deere hat and drove a tow truck for a living. We met at a diner halfway between us, and I couldn't stop staring when I saw him. Because he looked just like me. Beard. Work boots. Flannel. Same kind of guy. Salt of the earth. Quiet. Probably lonely. She'd found him on Facebook Marketplace. He was selling a snowblower. She messaged him. Came to pick it up. Didn't have enough cash. Same story. She stayed. Talked. Got coffee with him a few days later. 6 months later, he was $9,000 in debt and she'd vanished. I told him everything she did to me. We traded details. We even had the same nickname in her texts, Steady A and Steady D. She was tracking us like inventory. But there was more. Dale told me something I hadn't heard yet. She mentioned something about Nashville, he said. Said she had unfinished business down there. Got weird when I asked what she meant. I think something happened there before she came to Indiana. That stuck with me. I didn't say much about it to Rayford yet. Instead, I did something petty. Real petty. And honestly, I don't regret it one bit. I called the local news tip line, gave them an anonymous tip, told them Mallory's real story, her scams, her lies, how she played 3 men across 2 states. They followed up, dug around. 2 weeks later, there was a follow-up segment. New developments in identity theft case. Victims speak out, pattern of romance scams revealed. They blurred our faces, but the story was out there. And they named her. Used her mugshot again. Ran it all across their website. That laugh she gave me at room 314? I could almost hear it crack in half when I imagined her watching this from inside the jail. But the best part? The guy from Champaign had a lawyer in Chicago who loved class action lawsuits. And he was hungry. He contacted me and Dale. Said we could open a civil case for damages. Financial and emotional. He even mentioned going after her for fraud tied to wire transfers. Her whole little empire is crumbling, the lawyer told us. And if she's been running this for longer than we think, it's about to get worse for her. Worse? Yeah. Because the laptop had old photos on it. Screenshots. One of them was a fake driver's license with my name and her photo. That changed things. Now it wasn't just credit card fraud. It was identity fraud on a federal level. They handed the case over to the U.S. Postal Inspector. Because guess what? She used the mail to move goods. I got a letter from them 2 weeks later. I was now a named victim in a federal case. But here's the thing. Despite all this, despite the cops, the charges, the news coverage, she still hadn't reached out. Not once.
No epalegi.
No email. Nothing. Until I got a call from her public defender. Mr. Baker? Mallory wants to speak with you. She's hoping you'll write a character statement for the court. I laughed so hard I nearly dropped the phone. She thought I'd help her? Help the same woman who stole my money, cheated on me, used my name for fake credit cards, and almost got me sued? But I didn't say no. Not yet. Because I had a better idea. One that was going to sting a hell of a lot worse than rejection. And it started with that meeting she asked for. Face to face. After everything. I said yes. The jail visitation room was cold and plain. Plexiglass.
Phones on both sides.
I'd seen it in movies, but never thought I'd be the one sitting there. I wore my old shop jacket. The one she used to sleep in when she got cold. I wanted her to see it. I wanted her to know I hadn't forgotten a damn thing. When she walked in, I almost didn't recognize her.
No makeup.
Orange jumpsuit. Her hair was flat and greasy. Her eyes had lost that spark she used to use like a weapon. She looked tired,
Small.
less dangerous. But I wasn't fooled. She sat across from me and picked up the phone. I picked up mine. Aaron, she said softly, almost like she missed me.
I didn't say anything.
She forced a smile. Thank you for coming.
Still, I said nothing.
I messed up, she said finally. I did. I know I hurt you. I never meant to go this far. I raised an eyebrow. You never meant to open credit cards in my name?
I was scared, she said.
I was broke and I didn't know how to ask for help. You were so good to me. I panicked. And once it started, I couldn't stop. But it wasn't personal. I leaned in a little. You laughing in my face at that hotel wasn't personal? She went quiet. Then she tried again. I'm trying to make things right. My lawyer said if I show remorse and get a few people to speak on my behalf, I might get a lighter sentence. Just a letter, Aaron. Something that says I'm not a monster. I finally spoke. You want me to tell the judge you're not a monster? She nodded. I leaned closer. I'm not writing you a letter, Mallory. I'm writing a book. She blinked. What? I've been keeping records.
Notes.
Emails. Screenshots. You didn't just scam me. You hurt people. Real people. And I'm gonna make sure everyone knows it. Her face hardened. You think you're some kind of hero now?
No.
I think I'm finally done being the idiot you thought I was. She laughed, but it was nervous. What, you think people are gonna care? It's over. You won. I smiled for the first time. That's where you're wrong. It's just starting. I hung up the phone, and walked out without looking back. A month later, she went to court. The DA stacked every charge they could find: wire fraud, mail fraud, identity theft, credit card fraud, and more. The evidence from the laptop alone buried her. She pleaded guilty, got 9 years.
But that wasn't the end.
Remember that lawyer from Chicago? The guy from Champaign? He filed a civil suit that stuck, and the judge ruled in our favor. We couldn't get back everything she stole, but she was ordered to pay restitution. Every cent she made from her scams, every gift she sold, every dime she conned out of us, it all had to be paid back. And here's the kicker. The Civic? I had the title. The court let me take it back and auction it. I sold it to a scrapyard for a fraction of what I paid. But I didn't want the money. I wanted the papers. I mailed a copy of the crushed vehicle receipt to her in prison with a note that said, "Room 314 is closed for good." Still not done. I took my story public. All of it. I sent the news station a detailed follow-up with names, dates, photos. They ran a whole news segment. Romance scam victims speak out. The fallout from a heartless con. It got picked up by bigger outlets.
A blog.
Then a podcast. Then a docuseries wanted to interview me. I said yes. Because I wanted people to see what someone like her could do. But more than that, I wanted to warn guys like me. The quiet, loyal ones. The ones who say yes too fast. Who give too much, hoping they'll finally be seen. And if that meant putting my mistakes out there, I was fine with it. But here's the part one didn't see coming. 2 months after the docuseries dropped, I got an envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside was a handwritten letter. From her mother. She said she was sorry. That Mallory had always been like this. That she'd scammed family, friends, burned every bridge in Tennessee before running up north. She begged me not to blame myself. Said I wasn't the first. Said I wouldn't be the last.
She was wrong about that.
Because now her daughter's name was searchable everywhere. Every background check. Every database. She wouldn't get a job at a gas station when she got out. No pity. No fresh start. People like her don't stop unless they're stopped. So I stopped her. And I slept better every night after that. As for me, I took the hit. The financial one.